Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I want to thank everybody who's out in the chat room and everybody who's out there listening on the internet this evening. Got an awesome guest that's lined for you guys this evening because we got to get in the mood of Halloween. Everybody, it's getting close, and got to get the ghouls and goblins out and get everybody getting scared and all this crap with Halloween. So, like I said, I got an awesome guest this evening. His name's Daniel Emery Taylor. He played Daryl off of the 1988 The Return of Swamp Thing. He's an actor. He's a writer. He's also a paranormal investigator. We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff this evening. So without further ado, Daniel, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing quite well, quite well. It's my favorite time of year, Halloween, and a lot of conventions this time of year, and college football, and colder weather, and all that good stuff. So just having a good time.
Yes. Yes, I know you're a big Auburn fan, and I'm a big Notre Dame fan, so we'll talk about that here in a little while, too, because, man, what's up with your Auburn Tigers?
It's a complete and utter lack of authority at the top end. I mean, top 10 recruiting class every year. They've got some guys with just phenomenal talent, and they're just not being coached. And I don't know if it's a problem with the head coach. I don't know if it's a problem with the coaching staff under him, but something's got to change because it's a football legacy. It's something people in the state are proud of, and they're not going to put up with this for much longer.
No, that's for sure. We're going to get back to this in a little while because I know you're a huge football fan just as well as I am. But let's talk about your new movie that you just put out, dude. Congratulations. I know that you was an actor, and but I didn't know that you were doing writing and things like that. So let's talk about it's called The Hospital, correct? Why don't you give us a little bit of background on that?
Hospital, yes. It's actually the first film I ever co-directed it with a gentleman that you probably know by the name of Tommy Golden.
Yep.
And co-wrote it with Jim O'Rear, and Jim's well known to people in the indie horror industry. It actually goes back about a year and a half. Jim and I were at a location that is asked to not be identified. And we were doing paranormal investigation, and I just kind of asked him, I said, has anybody ever come up with an idea of something that mixes the paranormal with the horror? Something that's like Paranormal Activity mixed with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Mm-hmm. And he said no, he's never seen a film like that. So that's what we need to do. We should totally write something like that. So we started thinking about all these different story elements we wanted to put in place, and wrote the script. And then we kind of sat on it for a little bit, and I had acting jobs, he had acting jobs, and so on and so forth. And then we got together with Tommy this past spring, and things just kind of fell into place. He had the infrastructure for the crew and knew how to handle things on the technical end. Jim and I handled casting, pulling everything together, and it just kind of all fell into place. It's something I'm real proud of because I think it's going to be a lot different than what a lot of people are anticipating, because it does kind of mix those elements of Paranormal Activity with the Friday the 13th, with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of taking familiar elements and twisting them just a little bit.
Now, your character in this film, can you talk a little bit about your character? Because I know you're in this film.
Oh, definitely. I play a gentleman by the name of Stanley Creech. And when I set out to write this, I wanted to do something that I hadn't done before. And I pretty much have two things that I'm best known for. I either play like kind of a pompous asshole kind of guy, or I play, like comic relief, kind of funny every guy. Yeah. So I want it to be just this really gross, just reprehensible character. I want it to be the type of villain with absolutely no redeeming qualities whatsoever. We root for a Freddy, we root for a Jason, but I wanted something that was just so gross and just kind of sicko that audiences are just kind of going to be repulsed by him. And hopefully I do a good job.
So you want to be that character that everybody want to get their hands on and just strangle you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know that you were in the 1988 sci-fi flick of The Return of Swamp Thing, but what really got you into doing movies? I mean, I know you were a kid at the time, but what got you into doing that? Was it your parents, or how did you do it?
It was, I was going to elementary school in Hoover, Alabama, at a place called Glen Elementary, and we had a Christmas play that year. And I was just your standard little shy, weird kid, and I'd never shown any, inclination toward, acting or anything like that. And we were all automatically in the school play. It was just kind of what we did as a class, and I was cast in the pivotal role of gift box. So I got to sit under the tree and look enticing. But the kid who was supposed to play the father, which was the lead role, got sick, and I was the one the suit would fit. So lo and behold, I was now the father in the night before Christmas, and they pushed me on the stage and didn't realize that I was going to be a little ham, and I upstaged everybody and just completely acted a fool. And the talent scout saw me and asked me to come audition for some things. Swamp Thing was the second thing I ever auditioned for, and it was just kind of fell in my lap.
Now, what other films have you done?
Oh gosh, the two biggest things, Return of Swamp Thing and Road Trip, which was a Tom Green comedy that came out, I think in the year 2000. Besides that, I do a lot of work in low budget and indie horror, Resurrection, Underground Entertainment, of course. Actually premiering a film this coming weekend in Niles, Ohio, at the Halloween Horror Expo. Which was one I filmed last year that I'm really excited about.
What's the name of that one, Daniel?
Night of the Cannibals.
Ah, okay, cool. Oh, that'd be cool. Especially, right around Halloween, too. I mean, this is a time to, get all the horror stuff out there, and I wish people would get more into the spirit of Halloween.
Yeah, I do, too. I was just talking with my wife last night about how it's like some years it seems bigger than others, and I went to like Kirkland's this past week. Like, I was kind of a home interior little shop, and they've already got all their Halloween stuff on clearance and out on the sidewalk, and you walk in and it's completely, everything's Christmas.
Wow.
There's still a week, 2 weeks at the time till Halloween, and it's just, they've shuffled it on out the door. It just doesn't seem as big as it was when I was younger. And I don't know if that's because I'm older or if people have just moved on or what the issue is.
Now, have you always been a fan of Halloween ever since you was a little kid and being in these types of movies?
Oh, yeah. I remember I was watching Elm Street 2 and Fright Night and Reanimator when I was like 4 and 5 years old. And they scared me horribly, but I loved them anyway, and I kept watching. And then after I did Swamp Thing, which wasn't a horror film, but it's got monsters in it, from there I was just hooked, and have always loved horror films and just horror in general. I like good versus evil, and I like the way that horror kind of boils us down to our most basic elements. It's all survival and sacrifice and just basic story structure elements that you don't necessarily get, when watching a comedy or a drama or something like that.
What would you say your all-time favorite horror movie is, man?
Fright Night. I always come back to that one. To me, it is everything a horror film should be. It has comedic elements. It has scary shit in it. It is just highly entertaining. I still love that classic vampire mythology that they've kind of done away with now. The holy water and the crosses and all that. And again, just superbly acted. I mean, Chris Sarandon, Roddy McDowell. Chris Sarandon, probably one of the most underrated actors in the industry. Roddy McDowell, of course, was just classic. And it's just a fantastic film. One of my favorites. One of my favorite films, period, but definitely my favorite horror film.
You stay pretty busy with the conventions and things and whatnot. So Can you talk about what's coming up for you right now?
Right now, I've got the Halloween Horror Expo in Niles, Ohio. That is this coming Saturday and Sunday. And then from then, I don't think I'm booked again until Dead Winter Con, which is in London, Kentucky. That's in March, I believe. End of February.
Yep. Yeah, we will be there, actually. So I'll get to see you again.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I normally take holidays off just because, just too much going on here at home, and then
sure.
January nobody's got any money, so there's no point in doing any shows then.
well, true. And a lot of people, like yourself and Ari Lehman and people like that, they stay booked up on the convention circuit, as I call it. I mean, it's amazing on how many conventions you guys get called out for.
Well, I think there are just certain people who I think have good rapport with the fans. Ari especially. Ari's great, and just nobody, I think, loves his fans more than Ari Lehman. But people like Ari, Kane Hodder, Jim O'Rear, of course. Just these guys who do it all the time, year round, and people never get sick of seeing them because it's always something different and always fun. I've met people before, fellow actors on the circuit, people who you could tell they're doing it just for a payday, and they're not fun to be around. People, you walk up to their table and they're automatically trying to sell you something.
Yeah.
Now, fans go to these conventions. If they wanted your autograph, they could buy your autograph off of eBay. Fans go to conventions because they want to talk to you and hang out with you and maybe buy you a beer, at the bar afterwards, and they want to show you their tattoos and their horror collections and things like that. They want to hang out. That's part of the experience. And I think people like me and Ari and Jim and Kane and just all these kind of folks like that, I think we appreciate it. I think that's why we keep doing it.
Now the ones that I've actually met that's been really cool and down to earth is yourself, of course, because we've done a couple of things together, and Miko Hughes from Pet Sematary. I mean, the guy was really down to earth. Got to hang out with him at the VIP party, and the next day he's like, hung out with him at his booth for a little bit. So just really down to earth people.
Yeah, definitely. Horror actors tend to be some of the most appreciative of their fans because the horror community is a community.
Yeah.
You don't have a romantic comedy. You don't have a romantic comedy community. You don't have a drama community, but you've got a horror community because it's very close knit and people have similar interests and similar appreciation for things. I love horror fans because I always compare horror fans to like country music fans because they're some of the most loyal in the industry. You did one thing 20 years ago, and people are still going to come out and see you and still going to support you and still going to buy that new movie or that new album. And I think it's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and you and myself and Jim actually went to Old South Pittsburgh Hospital a couple years ago. I did an investigation. It was really cool.
Yeah. Old South Pittsburgh, I've been there numerous times. It was always a fun place to go to.
And that location, man, it just seems like it never, ever disappoints.
Yeah, no, it was probably one of the most active places I've been. That, in addition to Sloss Furnace, Sloss is always fantastic. But no, Old South Pittsburgh, definitely one of my favorite places to investigate.
Yeah, me and Terry, the Uber Cowboy, we do a paranormal show on here, and we were going to get you to come on the paranormal show here shortly, too. I was going to talk to you about that, but because I know you do paranormal investigating and stuff, so we want to get you to come on that show. But let's talk about music now. What music are you into? I know you're a huge Michael Graves fan, just like myself. But what are you listening to?
I love Michael Graves.
Oh, yeah. But what are you listening to right now? And just talk about some music, what you like and what you grew up on, Daniel.
I grew up with classic rock. There's just kind of what my parents listened to, classic rock and country, and I hated country and have always hated country music. So I listened to classic rock growing up, Elton John, AC/DC, Huey Lewis, stuff like that. And then as I got older, I discovered the Beatles, and I discovered Alice Cooper. And to me, there is no greater performer in any facet of entertainment than Alice Cooper. He is absolutely my favorite musician, performer, whatever. And of course, I love Rob Zombie. I'm a huge Misfits fan. Love Danzig and Michael Graves both. Not necessarily real fond of what they're putting out now. Gosh, just anything. I like a little bit of everything, but mainly, classic metal, classic hard rock is going to be my genre of choice.
Now, me and you have talked about Michael Graves, and I knew that there's one convention that you were going to that he was going to be there, but he canceled. I actually got to meet him finally, man, at Scarefest, and got to sit down and talk with the guy, and it was just an awesome guy to talk to, and one of the most down-to-earth people I've met, too.
Yeah, he's just got a fantastic voice. I was listening actually yesterday to Marky Ramone's Blitzkrieg, and just such a unique voice, a wonderful voice. I love the Resurrected Misfits. I almost look at it as a different band from Danzig's Misfits. They were more metal than punk, but to me, I mean, I like it just equally as well. He's just got a great voice, and American Psycho and all all that was just great, just fantastic.
I think he took the Misfits to a different level. I think he took them to where they needed to be out in the scene for horror music, and then whatever happened, and it sucks. But we're back live with Daniel Emery Taylor. We're going to continue where we left off with talking about the Misfits. We were talking about Michael Graves because he loves Michael Graves' music just as much as I do. So, Daniel, I think that Michael Graves actually took the Misfits to another level, don't you think? I think that he really put them out there more than they already were, that what Glenn did. I think he put them on another level. Hey, Daniel, we got you back on here again, brother.
Yeah, I'm calling from a different phone. The radio gods do not want you to ask me that question, apparently.
I think so, but you know what? I'm going to do it again. So let's continue with that. Like I said, I think Michael Graves took the Misfits to a different level when they did add him. I think he made them more, not as much dark as they were, but more out to everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think Misfits under Glenn Danzig, I think, were very kind of a dark and scary thing, which is awesome. I love that. But Misfits under Michael Graves, I think they were more of a comic book band. And I think it spoke more to what was going on at the time, in the late 80s, early 2000s, and I think it kind of fit the fan base better at that time.
Now, you said that Rob Zombie was a huge fan of Rob Zombie. I've had John 5 on the show last week, I think it was. A really, really cool guy, and he's on tour right now with Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, I've heard the stories that maybe they don't get along so well.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing too. But
I've never been I like some of Manson's music, but I've never been a real big fan of his. I always thought that he came across as somebody who maybe thought of himself a little more highly than he should. But Rob Zombie is just, I was a huge White Zombie fan. It was so different than anything that was on the radio at the time. Rob Zombie writes music for people who love horror movies and comic books and sci-fi and all the stuff I've always been into. And I've just have loved his progression, from White Zombie into a solo career. As a filmmaker, I'm just a real big fan of everything that he's done.
Now, you said that you got to. Well, let's talk about the Rob Zombie here a little bit more, because he's got a new movie coming out called Lords of Salem. Have you seen anything from it, or got any background on it or anything, since you're a Rob Zombie fan?
I've seen the trailer, and then I've been reading about it and stuff like that. Michael Berryman was actually in town talking to a friend of mine earlier this week, and was saying that he thought his parts were going to be cut out of Lords of Salem because Richard Lynch passed away, and they weren't able to complete those sections. I really hope that's not true because I love Michael Berryman and Sid Haig both. But that's really, I've seen the same stuff everybody else has. Just the trailer that was released, and kind of been keeping up with it on Zombie's website. I'm really anxious to see it. I think April is when it's scheduled to release.
Yeah, and these are the two. Well, this movie here is a follow up of Halloween 1 and Halloween 2 that he did. So now he's breaking out and doing his actual other stuff. John 5 had mentioned that this is some of Sherry's best work that she's done in this film. So he said that he had seen it, and he said it's just insane.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm a real big fan. I loved the first Halloween that Rob Zombie did. I know a lot of horror fans didn't care for it. To me, I take remakes as individual films. I don't necessarily compare them to the original because generally there is no comparison. I kind of try to judge every film based on its own merits. And taking Rob Zombie's Halloween just unto itself, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I didn't care as much for the second one when I first saw it until I went back, and I'm being a filmmaker now myself. I always listen to the director's commentaries, and I always watch the supplemental material that come on Blu-rays. And when I watched Halloween 2 with his commentary on it, and just to hear him talk about all the different obstacles he ran into and budget shortcomings and just not being able to make the film the vision that he had and why he changed some of the things he had to change and all that, then I realized I had a much higher respect for the film, much more appreciation for it, because I don't think that was necessarily the film Rob Zombie wanted us to see. And as a filmmaker, especially, when I wrote The Hospital and then co-directed it, I started to see why things can't always be the way that you want them to be. For budget reasons or actor reasons or location reasons or this or that. Things don't always come out how you intend them to. And I have a much more of an appreciation for Halloween 2 now, seeing things from that end.
Do you want to stay more of a filmmaker, or do you want to do the filmmaker and actor? I mean, what do you want to do at this point?
I love the process of filmmaking, but I also am too big of a fan of myself to not be an actor.
Right. Oh, yeah, right.
I definitely want people to see me and see what I'm doing. I'll tell you what, though, doing both at the same time is not easy. I think that I will probably be doing less acting in my own stuff and leave my acting to other people's work.
Now, another movie that's coming out I was going to get your opinion about was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. This is supposed to be about a remake of the first one, but from what I was told, they're going to be adding more clips from the original to this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I know John Dugan is as well. John, of course, played Grandpa in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and John's a dear friend of mine. Love John, and he's real excited about it. And I am too. Just the fact that they are, paying homage to the people in the original and using the clips from the original, and I'm excited that it's actually a direct sequel to the original. It picks up, right after where the original ends. And as much as I love Texas Chainsaw 2, I love Texas Chainsaw 2. It kind of doesn't follow the same story structure as the original. So it'll be great to actually pick up that original story and see what they do with it.
Do you have anything coming up that you're working on that you could talk about? Any new movies or any more ideas or anything?
I have actually... we're just now getting the wheels rolling on a film I wrote 2-3 years ago called Fat Chance. And I've kind of hinted around on my Facebook page and on my website, but this is the official announcement here, that Deviant Pictures' next project will be Fat Chance. And is something I brought Jim on board. He's going to be co-directing it with me, and we're putting everything in place now. But yeah, Fat Chance is the story of 10 men on a weight loss reality competition, something like Biggest Loser.
Yeah.
And a killer gets loose among them. It's kind of a fat camp slasher. Has a lot of comedic elements to it. I always thought, because I watch, I'm a voluptuous man myself, and I always watch these horror films and I always think, what would I do in that instance?
Yeah.
I always made the joke that if I was like, trapped in the closet or something, there'd be a Daniel-shaped hole in the wall. I would just run through the wall, things like that. I thought, what would the fat guys do, if a killer was after them? And I had ideas like, the guy's hiding under the bed, the bed's 3 feet off the ground, or the guy's trying to hide the closet, and the closet door won't shut because he's too big, and things like that. It's just some real creative kills, some real funny stuff, and I think fans are really going to dig it. It's going to be a complete departure from the hospital. The hospital, which does have a little bit of dark humor to it, but the hospital's, for the most part, a very grim, kind of scary, gritty thing. And Fat Chance is going to be just over-the-top roller coaster ride.
Now, yourself, John Dugan, Jim O'Rear, and is Tommy Golden also in the hospital? And who else other than you guys are going to be in it, Daniel?
Well, Tommy co-directed, co-produced with us, but he wasn't actually acting in it. Who was that? Jason Crow is one of our male leads. Jason, known to indie film fans for The Legacy and Dead Moon Rising and all this other stuff he's done. Just a fantastic actor, a good friend of mine. Scott Teberman. Oh gosh, can't forget Scott. Scott from Ghost Hunters International has a real fun little role in there. Robin Shute. Robin plays our female lead. Just fantastic. Couldn't ask for better. Chainsaw Sally, April Brill, she's in it as well. So just a lot of familiar faces to fans of independent horror, and a lot of new faces too.
Last but not least, on the horror side and everything, before we talk a little bit of sports here, if I'll let you go, what's your opinion on The Walking Dead, man? How do you like this show?
Oh gosh, horror fans are going to hate me. I don't watch it. I've watched. And I hate saying that because I've got so many friends who've been on it, Sonia and Larry and Rodney and Jeremy and all these guys I've met, doing the conventions and everything. Just good friends of mine, people I just love them to death. But I watched the first season and I thought, that was okay. And I just never went back. And I just didn't care enough to go back and watch. And, oh gosh, people are, sharpening their pitchforks right now for me. But, I do love the fact that it's kind of gone, into making horror mainstream.
Oh yeah.
I gotta respect that. And of course, I just from watching the first season, everything, the effects on it are fantastic. So I love that, they're doing it and they're taking it seriously. And, I'll probably get around to watching the rest of it one of these days on demand or Blu-ray or something. But it goes on against Dexter, and I love Dexter though. I can't not watch
good.
Dexter.
Dexter's good, really good. Now I saw the other night where they're coming out with a new The Monsters, but it's supposed to be like Mockingbird Lane, and I was like, no.
I saw that. It was supposed to be a television show, I think, and then they kind of cut that off, and then I think they put the pilot out there just trying to make some money back on it. I'll watch it, and it may be entertaining, but I'm a huge fan of the Munsters. I always say there's Addams Family people and there's Munsters people, and I'm definitely Munsters people.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So I don't know. I'll just have to. Much like I do with remakes, I'll just have to look at it as a completely different thing and not compare it to the original.
If anybody knows Daniel like I do, when it comes to college football on Saturday, watch out, because if his Auburn Tigers are getting beat, he'll give his own 2 cents about why they're getting beat.
I'm telling you, it's just completely disheartening because college football is and people, you know, I'm sure you have people listening all over the country, but but in the South especially, and in Alabama, college football is it. I mean, we don't have any, we don't have a professional football team, and nothing else really seems to go over here. We are college football. That's what we do, and we do it in the state better, I think, than anybody else in the country. You know, between Alabama and Auburn both. But no, it's a hard season there. I don't know what the problems are. You know, it's 2 years out from national championship, going, you know, basically 1-6. It's just.
You would think kids would. You would think that you would definitely think that kids would want to come to Auburn and play because they did win it 2 years ago. I mean, it's not that far from out. I mean, look at Notre Dame. I mean, that's my team for college football. They got Brian Kelly, and they sucked the last 2 years when they had him. But now look at them; they're 7-0, man.
I mean, it's teams can turn around fast. You know, they can go from good to bad, or from great to worse. You know, and or vice versa. You know, a bad team 2 years from now can be awesome. There's so many variables, but what my biggest fear at this point is that I'm afraid they've gotten disheartened. I'm afraid they've given up. And when a program gives up, then, you know, there's nothing they can do. You know, and I see tweets from the players and everything, and they're really frustrated. And when that frustration sets in, then I don't know if there's a turnaround. And we're coming up, you know, against some brick walls here pretty soon. I mean, we've got Texas A&M coming up, and they're no joke. You know, and of course, still have Alabama looming in the distance. And Alabama, as much as it pains me to say this, I hate them. I hate them. But they're absolutely the best football team in the nation right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Alabama is a juggernaut of football. But at least it's SEC. I mean, me and you both are in the SEC conference, so at least it is the SEC. You're not seeing stuff about like, USC 24/7 or Oregon. I just think those teams are just not outplayed. I just think they're blown out of proportion.
Well, they are, and a lot of times, you know, and like people talk about Oregon and you know, Boise State and things like this, and when you're outside of the SEC, I think it's easier to run the gamut and to, you know, have undefeated seasons or, you know, winning seasons. And the SEC, I mean, half of the SEC are like potential national champions every year. You know, you have Alabama and Auburn, LSU, and Florida, even Georgia this year. South Carolina is doing fantastic. Arkansas would have been doing great if the wheels hadn't fallen off of that.
Yeah.
And
wow.
You know, you have all these teams that are just, you know, class act teams. But I mean, you look at the other conferences and you got maybe one or two good teams. The SEC, I mean, we've top to bottom toughest conference in the nation.
Yeah, look at Florida. I mean, they lose Urban Meyer, and they still have a good team.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
It just amazes me. And poor Kentucky. I mean, my God.
Well, Kentucky, and I've got, you know, tons of friends and fans in Kentucky. One thing that I always thought was interesting is you guys are all about basketball.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
You know, I don't even know Auburn's record in basketball. I mean, it's just we don't care here in our state, you know, but you guys, you don't care so much about football, but, you know, your basketball is you know, top notch and no joke.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. We always have an awesome basketball team, and I think we're going to have the number one, is it the number one team this year, man? Do you know of? The second.
I'm not sure.
I think we've got the number 2 ranked team in the nation coming in this year, so Kentucky's going to look good this year or next year, man. I do think they'll win another championship either this year or next year one, so hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think we do that well in basketball. We won national championships in like odd things. Like I think we won the competitive swimming national championship like 9 of the last 12 years, and there's like an equestrian team national championship that we've won several times. It's I don't know. It just doesn't get my blood pumping like football does.
Daniel, thank you so much, man, for being on the show this evening. This has been an awesome interview, even though we had some phone issues. But, definitely thank you for being on here, brother. I really respect what you do, and you've always been good to me every time I've met you and talked to you, so thanks.
Hey, you are a friend, and look forward to seeing you again at Dead Winter.
Yeah, definitely.
People go to www.deadwintercon.com and check that out. And again, I'll be at the Halloween Horror Expo in Niles, Ohio, Saturday and Sunday. We'll be debuting Night of the Cannibals. There'll be a wrestling event going on. Necro Butcher will be there, and lots of other cool stuff. So people in the area should definitely come out.
How can people get a hold of you if they want to contact you and book you and things like that, Daniel?
I tell everybody the easiest thing is just go to my Facebook page. I check my Facebook much more than I check my email. But just look me up, Daniel Emery Taylor. Also, you can find me at www.danielemerytaylor.com, and you can email me from there, and Twitter and Google Plus and all that you can link to from my main page.
Okay. All right, brother. Thank you so much for being on here. I'll get you back on here later on, too. But like I said, me and Terry do the Paranormal Show on Thursdays. We'd like to get you on there, too, if not in November, maybe December if you have the time.
All right, absolutely. Just let me know.
All right. Thanks, Daniel.
No problem. Take it easy.
You too, man. Later.